Hi, my name is Megan Edwards of Focus Communications, and today we're getting another update from Kuya Silver, which trades on the Canadian Stock Exchange under the symbol KUYA. And joining me this morning is Kuya's President and CEO, David Stein. Thanks for your time today, David.
Thanks again, Megan.
So, David, for those new to Kuya, could you please provide an introduction to the company?
Sure. So, well, on that photo there, that's actually Peru. So our flagship property and our most advanced property is a past producing silver mine in Peru that we're looking at. We've been basically taking all the steps to permit a new mill and put it back into production. We're currently looking at the possibility there of toll milling, which we could do, which essentially would allow us to start production before we have a mill on site, essentially accelerating the timing of production earlier. And we recently put out a press release on a toll milling agreement there. So we're very active in Peru. We've done a lot of really great work over the last 2 years, in particular, getting permits, getting things, resource, PEA, and also making some significant new discoveries, which really open up a huge exploration story over and above the mine itself. Which has been a high grade producer in the recent past. So that's a big part of the company. Obviously, today we're going to be talking about our other project, which is in Northern Ontario, which is the Silver Kings project, and we've been essentially consolidating a big land package there over the past 2 years. Done a little bit of work, but we've just started our most aggressive exploration program this quarter, and we're very excited that we basically made a brand new discovery on one of our first holes. So that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So like you said, we're focusing on your Silver Kings property, where last month you commenced phase 2 drilling at the North Drummond. And now this week we got an update from the Campbell-Crawford area where you've intersected native silver in an early drill hole. Could you walk us through this release?
Sure. So just as a reminder, like we spent a bit of more time in the past talking about the immediate Kerr Lake area, where we've got a lot of our properties, a lot of our most, a lot of advanced work done on here, previous drilling by previous operators, some drilling by us as well. And so that's the North Drummond area is these veins in orange that we've identified through recent drilling. That's actually not what the press release is about, because we, as part of our current program that we're doing this quarter, drill program, we were testing another target that's about 1 kilometer to the north. So up in here, and we're at the moment it's called Campbell-Crawford after a historic prospect. No mine has ever there's no mine here, but there was a historic prospect. Some mineralization found on surface, cobalt mineralization, which was followed underground with exploration tunnels. Nothing material was ever found. They really were in the diabase rock unit, which is important in controlling mineralization, but it tends not to be a good host. There are exceptions where it does host good mineralization, but the best mines and mineralization in the cobalt camp, which is it's a world-class camp. At times in the 20th century, this would have been one of, if not the biggest silver producer in the world. And most of the production came from immediately above and below that diabase. That is a really important feature throughout the camp. So we tested essentially deeper below the historic exploration workings, and we were trying to get the contact below the diabase, and that's where we hit. We hit a vein. Here's part of the vein in our core. You can see the shiny stuff. That's native silver, so that's just basically silver metal that's deposited right into the ground. and there's some other spectacular examples, in that same core set. Essentially, it goes on for about 2 meters or so, and it includes this vein here, and then some of these silver stringers, which are these slashes sort of going through the dark rock. And that is actually silver that would be leaking on both sides, filling fractures on both sides of the vein. And we have observed that in other parts of the cobalt camp. So it's pretty sort of classic cobalt style mineralization here. And what's important about the silver stringers in particular is that even though they'll be, of course, lower grade than this, wonderful massive stuff here, it's still going to add to the tonnage of the mineralization, or the volume of mineralization to the, basically on both sides of the vein. And we expect, when we do find these veins, or continue to explore this particular vein, we'll see that. And that's going to be important in terms of when we, when we're able to calculate a volume there. There'll be a lot more than just the vein itself, which is really important.
Absolutely. And as previously discussed, the cobalt silver mining camp is a world-class district, having historically produced over 500 million ounces of silver. So you've got a new discovery in this area, which I'm sure will raise some interest. A question many will ask is, why do you think this area was overlooked?
Yeah, so just zooming in on the Campbell-Crawford, at the center of this circle here, you can see just about a kilometer to the south, we have the Kerr Lake area, where just the Kerr Lake area alone produced about 60 million ounces, and was one of the prolific zones within this sort of 30-kilometer from north to south, from the town of Cobalt down to Silver Center, where we have some properties as well. That's basically where the heart of the cobalt camp was, and this area you can see here, relative to the cobalt camp, this is in the middle of nowhere. There's no big mines immediately around here. There are some about a kilometer away, or 750 meters away from here. But given that given the high grade nature of these mines and these veins, 500 meters or kilometer is a huge distance. So we're sort of in the middle of nowhere here, and which is really exciting, because it means we've got a lot of area open to explore. Now that we've found the right environment for these silver veins, the job over the coming months and maybe beyond is going to be to drill and find are there more of them, probably, and obviously start to figure out orientations, volumes, and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. And last time we had you on, we also discussed the historic Carson vein in the Kerr prospect, which produced very high grades of mineralization over a fairly narrow width. I know it's early days, but are you targeting another Carson type vein here?
Yeah, so the Carson vein, which actually was mined by 3 different companies, or three different mining properties at the time. That vein alone produced about 13 million ounces. But then what you also saw was essentially beside it, there were other veins that were parallel to it, just not as big. So they just didn't have the same depth, the same strike length, but they were still part of that same favorable package of rocks that hosted the silver mineralization. And there was a lot of those veins as well, which also produced millions of ounces. So the difference between the Carson vein and those other veins is really just the size of the mineralized structure. The Carson vein had a longer strike length; it went deeper, but otherwise it probably would have looked very similar to the other veins that were part of that same stratigraphy. So Bottom line is, yes, we would love to get a Carson-like vein here. We won't know until we do more drilling. But we're finding the right kind of mineralization. We're in the right environment.
So what's the strategy? Will the company continue to target this high-grade vein, or will you be testing any extensions to this target?
Yeah, so we pretty much are most likely going to focus on this new target now for the rest of our current program, and that will include looking for extensions of the vein that we hit, and possibly following up other structures that are essentially very close to it in the same area here. Because the cobalt camp is really about these clusters of veins, and that's really where you build the economic tonnage that you need to develop a mine. Once in a while there'll be a single vein that's so big that's sort of a mine unto itself, but typically you get these clusters of veins that occur together. So we're going to be following up on other structures. We actually hit several other mineralized structures in our other holes, and in hole 8 as well, the discovery hole. So we've got a lot of potential targets now to drill, and obviously we're excited to do that.
So finally, in the press release, you also mentioned that assays are pending for this drill hole. Any expected timeline on when you'll be receiving those results?
Well, we're going to rush them, so it'll be a matter of weeks, and hopefully no longer than that. And it's very important for obviously for the market and for us as well to know what we've got here. But we're expecting that you can see that you're looking at extremely high grades of silver here, as well as silver in the wall rock. So we're expecting the results are going to be very, very good. Any
final thoughts or comments you'd like to leave with investors, David?
Well, look, I think the final thought would be I don't want to undersell the significance of this discovery. The cobalt camp has been, was very, very actively explored at surface, mostly for about better part of 80 years. And there was a lot of hundreds of millions of ounces of silver was produced here. So to be able to go into the camp, look at it, it's really taken us 2 years behind the scenes of learning, of studying what we have here, and to be able to drill and make a new discovery. I think it is a great sign for the camp itself. It's a great sign for Kuya, obviously, that we're able to do this, and really turn something that was probably had, let's face it, very little value in terms of our share price, into something now where we have a legitimate discovery, and that in our business, discovery means value. So the value of this project now has increased, I think, hugely just in the past few days, and that's obviously something that's very exciting from the point of building the strategy of this company.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time again today, David, and we look forward to having you back on soon.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot.